walking home. On my walk, which is about a mile or so long, I had to walk through a cemetery. Not a stereotypical, shabby, haunted one, but one that had many people walking through and was usually full of maintenance employees. I remember walking by a group of them sitting on benches on a break. I thought nothing of it, as he stood up and started walking at a fair distance. After a bit, I looked back at him and he looked down quickly. He was in the same baby blue uniform as the others and had a gray beard, but I made out a name tag, Frank P. As the other workers faded from sight, he was still behind me. I began to worry. A moment later, he called out, "It's wet, huh?" in a friendly voice. I chuckled politely and agreed. My worries increased a second later when I walked out and he was still behind me. I was close to my house now and it started to pour. My house in sight, I started jogging to get there. I glanced back and I saw the man, visibly angry, start running. As my house got closer, I began to sprint. I didn't look back as I slung the key out of my backpack and opened the door. I looked behind me. I saw the man in the middle of the street. I walked over to the phone and dialed 911. Before I called, I looked out the window. He was gone. I told my mom what happened when she got home. She didn't believe me. That night, I couldn't sleep. There was lightning outside, and I could see occasional shadows from the flashes through my window in my living room. I lay watching the flashes when I saw a strange outline. I looked closer and saw an outline of a man. I stood up and walked out of my room. I walked into the living room. It was completely dark outside. I stood in the doorway and waited. A car's headlight illuminated the pale, shallow face of Frank P. I ran into my room and locked the door. I never saw him after that night, but whenever I see that baby blue uniform, I think back to that night and that haunting image of a skeletal, unnatural face of Frank P.